The thaw is over. The January thaw that went into February into this month, it's coming to an end. You're starting to see that today, but you're really going to notice it, I think, late this week and into next weekend. Now, at this time, I don't think it's going to get as cold as January, but you don't need it as cold as January to have problems. Now, will there be moisture? That's the $1,000,000 question here. And there is a system pulling out of the southwest, in fact, coming out of Mexico. It's just, how will this track? The timing of this, where this tracks, and will it at all interact with the cold air? That's the question. And right now, a lot of the models saying, no, the timing of this just isn't coming, just not right. But in my opinion, it's something you have to watch because the possibility is there for a major flip of the forecast late this week. But I want to stress right now, it does not look like the moisture wants to combine with the cold air. That's what it looks like right now, but it is something that can change. In these situations, you really got to watch it. You don't get Arctic air in February coming down to Arkansas without something happening. So that's what kind of concerns me with this. And let me show you the setup with all this right now. And I love using that, again, the 500 millibar height anomalies. It just shows you a great indication of where the ridges are, where the troughs are, where the storm systems are, where resistance might be, and how storms may track. So this is very, very useful in my opinion. And this is coming up on Thursday, late Thursday of this week. And this is North America. You see that there's Alaska, here's the United States, just to make sure you got your bearings right when you look at all this, because there's a lot going on. That's trouble. You see that? Those reds? That is a strong block forming. It's a ridge of high pressure up in the northwestern territories of Canada and Alaska. So what that does is that changes our source region of air from the Pacific, where it has been, and now you're starting to see the trough develop, and it starts to pull that cold air out of the Arctic areas, and you see that here with the piece of the polar vortex coming down into central and southern Canada. So that is the concern. Now look at the same time. Do you see this coming out of Mexico? This is late Friday. So that way down the bottom of your screen. So the question is, will this track too far south and completely push the moisture away from Arkansas, this cold air coming in? That's a possibility that there's no moisture involved with this. But it's something that I want to watch because I'm not completely convinced of that. But it's hard to deny the data. But no matter what, we're going to get cold. Heck, I can make my own snow. So anyway, so there's the ridge, and there's the cold air coming down. I'll show you the temperatures here in just a little bit. Not as cold as January, though, the way it looks right now. But, I mean, look at that. That ridge, this is Sunday. That's poking all the way up through Alaska into the Arctic areas and just pushing and drilling the cold air south into the areas along and east of the Rocky Mountains, including Arkansas. Ridge continues to early next week, but it begins to drift towards the other side of the pole into Siberia. And when that happens, the cold air gets cut off. But is that going to happen? And will we still see enough blocking across the Arctic areas to continue some drainage, at least of cold air, into the United States? But this is suggesting that as we head towards the end of next week, it does begin to moderate, which would make sense. It would make sense because when you get Arctic air into Arkansas, into this area of the country, when it gets cold, it usually doesn't last all that long, and we begin a rapid warm-up. Temperature anomalies, okay? So departures from average basically is what we're looking at here at the European ensembles. This is Friday morning, the 16th. There's the cold air. Whenever you see the anomalies, see those reds, browns, all that appear into Alaska. When Alaska goes above average, that's when the cold air is getting displaced. It's coming south. And you see that with the negative anomalies here in southern Canada along and east of the Rocky Mountains. So across Arkansas late this week, a little above average with the temperatures. And then look at that. That's Saturday morning. You see how quickly that changes? Look at the cold air coming down into Texas. This is Saturday. So you see along and east of the Rocky Mountains, I think it's too cold out here in the western United States. This will be mainly along and east of the Rocky Mountains. See how that cold air just drills down the plains? You know the song, where the wind comes sweeping down the plains. Well, it's going to go sweeping down the plains. And Arkansas here goes with below average temperatures for next weekend. That's Saturday. I mean, let me back that up. So this is Sunday morning. I mean, it's cold. Alaska's still above average temperatures, and I think we see another push. You see that? This is Monday, the 19th. There's the next, maybe possible surge of cold air in about a week or so coming down the plains. And so you got Arctic air coming in, but then it starts to relax. You see that? Still some cold around, but it begins to relax after that. So I'm going to go back to what I said. When in February, this time of the year, when you get Arctic air coming down into Arkansas in mid to late February, it's hard to imagine that it stays dry. Could that be the case? Absolutely, it could be. But just based on what has happened in the past and what I have seen in the past, with Arctic air in place, something's going to happen or could happen. And so I just wanted to give you the heads up that winter is coming back, the thaw coming to an end. That thaw was a long-lasting thaw, wasn't it? That really hit us hard. The huge rebound in temperatures from January. We went from 1 degree in Little Rock up into the mid-70s. Some places were below zero in northern Arkansas. So now I think we're going to see more cold air come down, but I don't think it's going to be to the degree, pun intended, of what we saw in mid-January. But you don't need it to get that cold for wintry weather. So the cold is coming, yeah. Wintry weather, confidence low. I'll keep you updated. As always, thank you for your trust, and thank you for your loyalty.